This fake doctor tried fleeing to Colombia after he botched a butt surgery so bad that he ended up being charged with manslaughter. I mean, we've covered this before. Doctors are now skipping the whole med school thing and instead using TikTok tutorials as their license to operate. The world is getting scary. Actually, just kind of depressing at this point. How stupid can people be? Why are people doing this? I don't know. And it's not only causing people to pay with their health, but in some cases, their lives.
Mother of two died when a medical procedure turned deadly, and prosecutors say the man who performed it is not a doctor.
The details revealed in court as he faces manslaughter charges and the reason he's considered a flight risk.
I mean, it's sad that we're still doing this, but here we are. So back in April, it was reported that Felipe Hoyos Ferronda tried to run after his patient, 31-year-old Maria Penaloza, collapsed on the table. Now, most doctors would immediately call for help from other qualified professionals in this situation. But Felipe, he didn't do that. Why? Well, probably because, number one, he wasn't a licensed doctor, and two, the operation took place inside of his townhouse.
Authorities say 38-year-old Felipe Hoyos Ferronda ran a makeshift clinic out of his home, promising patients enhancements at a fraction of the cost. But instead of beauty transformations, his procedures allegedly led to disaster. Now one woman is fighting for her life, and the so-called doctor tried to flee the country.
Unfortunately, since that clip, the victim passed away, and supposedly when the surgery went wrong with the mother of two, he bolted to JFK International Airport in an attempt to flee the country. Luckily, police were actually able to catch him before he boarded his flight to Colombia. And the police, they learned about the facility on Friday, the day everything went wrong, when a friend of the injured woman went to the house to pick her up after the procedure. But when the friend arrived, she learned that the woman's procedure had gone wrong. The friend then called the police, and soon after, officers interviewed the landlord, who gave them a physical description and photograph of Mr. Hoyos Ferronda. The police then found his license plate information and tracked his car to the Van Wyck Expressway en route to Kennedy Airport. And that's how they managed to catch him right before he boarded his flight. I mean, what a disgusting freak this fake doctor is. Dude could have most likely saved her if he immediately called EMS and stayed there to help, or if he just didn't run his janky operation to begin with. The victim was 31-year-old Maria Penaloza, a mother of two who went to this makeshift home clinic in Astoria to get her butt implants removed. And after Hoyos injected her with lidocaine, it wasn't long before Maria went into cardiac arrest. This is just so sad. I really wish she just went to a real clinic. Unfortunately for the victim, cost probably had a lot to do with it, but also I bet you that she saw what he was doing on TikTok and decided to trust him because she saw a bunch of successful procedures done on TikTok. Because the craziest part of this whole thing is that Hoyos wasn't exactly hiding his illegal practice up until this point. In fact, he was actually advertising his work all over TikTok. He had countless videos of him leaning over women on massage tables, promising a safe and painless method to sculpt your glutes with his machine. And if that didn't convince you, he also offered $450 Botox parties. Now, I have no idea what a Botox party entails, but I'm assuming it's a happy hour with needles. Like, imagine cash apping $450 to a surgeon to not only being told to meet him in his small apartment, but you also walk into him blasting Bad Bunny and loading up someone with anesthetics as they lay on his coffee table, which seems like a crazy visual, but honestly, it does not seem too far-fetched after looking at how all of this went down.
In court, prosecutors said the business was word of mouth.
Her friends told her that to go to him because he was a good doctor.
So she didn't realize he wasn't a doctor?
Yeah, no.
And the DA is also asking anyone who used his services to come forward, showing he didn't do any bookkeeping, to put it lightly. And again, what's just so sad about stuff like this is not the first time things like this has happened. Like back in 2019, you have Liddy Adam, 53, and her daughter Alicia Galas. They were running their own cut rate butt lift operation out of motel and hotel rooms in California, because there's nothing like getting your BBL done at a Motel 6. Wow, I mean, just looking at her with all that Botox, the mother somehow managed to look like Thing 1 and Thing 2 and Donkey Kong at the same time. Either way, prosecutors say that for $3,500 to $4,000, they injected toxic silicone into women. They then skipped town whenever things went wrong. One victim, 26-year-old Carissa Rapal, she was having her third procedure with them, And then, during the operation, she passed away. And instead of helping, they fled the scene, just like the original scumbag we looked at. And when this case hit the trial, the court was shown some pretty awful photos. Apparently, her butt had pretty much exploded due to the silicone. And their defense was, they claimed that the materials were common in Mexico and that Adam was trained there. But again, there were 0 licenses or certifications, just Google and a hotel room full of sketchy surgical tools. And the part I just can't get my head around with all this is I've covered a lot of these cases recently. It's not just like fake butt doctors, it's also fake everything. Like a fake nurse I covered recently, Autumn Barista, who managed to treat 4,486 patients without even being a licensed nurse. She was also giving people Ozempic shots, birth control shots, and even handling prescriptions. And she eventually got caught, but not for messing up or a patient complaining. No, because the hospital tried to promote her. And when HR finally looked her up, they realized the license number that she was providing belonged to someone else. So now she's facing 7 counts of practicing without a license and 7 counts of ID fraud. Now in Florida, those are 70 years in prison if those charges stack. In reality, she's not getting that, but still, crazy charges. And of course, if hospitals aren't bad enough, you also have Emily Martinez, who's running a beauty bar offering discount veneers, but instead of, dental adhesive, police say she was using super glue. How are these people real? I can't believe this. So obviously, victims ended up with infections, broken teeth, and thousands of dollars in emergency dental bills. She's now facing felony charges for fraud, practicing without a license, and ID theft. But here's my take. The internet obviously made information way more accessible than ever, but easier access does not correlate to expertise, or a degree. And now, with AI becoming just as accessible as Google, it's even easier for people to feel like they can sort of expedite or cheat the process of learning a skill. Or in this case, dangerous medical procedures. But unfortunately for some people, hearing a person with enough confidence saying, oh, I've watched a TikTok video on how to do it and I've done it dozens of times, sounds almost as good as someone with an actual diploma, if the price is cheap enough. And that's definitely not a risk you should be taking. But again, this isn't even rare anymore. You have the guy in Queens injecting lidocaine in his apartment, a mother-daughter duo running surgery clinics out of motel rooms, LARPing nurses and veneer techs at a strip mall using Gorilla Glue. This honestly isn't even fraud anymore. It's a healthcare crisis because every time one of these scams slips through, real people pay with their health, their savings, and their lives. I think what's really tripping me up here is that most of these people weren't caught because of the system working. It wasn't really flagged by background checks or licensing boards. They were caught because someone got hurt or lost their life. The system failed. And it was unfortunately only then that people noticed. So yeah, fake butt surgeons, fake nurses, fake veneer techs, don't trust medical professionals who operate out of apartments or hotel rooms. Strip malls can be okay, but I'd be lying if I wasn't at least a little bit sketched out. So please stay safe, ask for credentials, and if your doctor is advertising $450 Botox parties on TikTok, run away. Don't do it. But hey, the other day, so many of you guys actually ended up grabbing the free samples of GamerSupps. They went out of stock. So now they're restocked. So if you go to gamersupps.gg/Atozy, you can actually get the best tasting sugar-free lemonade on the market. Look at this thing. And a lot of people were like, oh, yo, that looks like a really small tub, but it has 100 servings and the serving size is like literally tiny. Just for context, like this is one serving size. So like, yeah, there's 100 of these bad boys in here. So I mean, 40 cents per serving in the best sugar-free lemonade that I've ever tasted in my life, and it's packed with vitamins. I don't really see it as a loss. And if you don't believe me, again, you can get free samples with going to gamersupps.gg/Atozy and using code Atozy. Or you can try any of the other flavors on their website and use code Atozy for 10% off. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.